Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Well, today we're going back in time a bit, to
No.
1859 to be exact.
Oh, wow. Right in the thick of things for the Spiritism movement.
Yep, we've got a fascinating piece in front of us. It's from Allan Kardec's What is Spiritism?
A classic.
Definitely. And specifically, we're looking at Chapter 1, the first dialogue, The Critic.
So this is Kardec engaging with some of the pushback Spiritism was getting, right?
Exactly. It's really a snapshot of the conversations happening around this new and, let's be honest, kind of controversial movement. What is Spiritism was actually intended as an introduction to the whole thing.
Ah, makes sense. He already had the Spirits book and the Mediums book out there. Those were much deeper dives.
Right. This one seems aimed at folks who are just starting to learn about spirit communication and all that. So in this first dialogue, we meet this skeptical guy, the critic, who comes to Kardec seeking proof, like hard evidence of spirits.
Oh, I can imagine those conversations. Some folks just weren't buying it. So how does Kardec handle this skeptic?
Well, what's interesting is that he doesn't get all defensive or try to force the guy to believe. He's actually super calm, even a little playful, I'd say. He seems genuinely interested in the critic's questions, which is key, right?
Oh, absolutely. Kardec always emphasized sincere inquiry over blind faith.
Totally. Like he's saying, hey, let's talk about this, even if it's tough.
Makes you want to hear what the critic had to say, though. What were his arguments?
Well, he's pretty straightforward. Says he'll believe if he can see it with his own eyes. Wants to attend a few seances and make up his mind based on what happens there. Thinks that's the ultimate test.
Ah, so the classic challenge. Did he have any particular plan in mind?
Yeah, he actually tells Kardec he's planning to write a whole book about Spiritism, either supporting it or debunking it based on what he sees as the seances.
Wow, okay. Bold move. So what does Kardec say to that?
And this is where it gets really interesting. He doesn't try to stop him at all. In fact, he welcomes the idea of the book. Says any discussion, even negative, will just spread awareness of Spiritism.
Now that's confidence. He must have really believed in what he was teaching.
Right. He doesn't seem afraid of scrutiny at all. But here's the thing. He's not just passively waiting for the critic to be convinced. He lays out his own philosophy of how to understand Spiritism.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What does he say?
He says true understanding needs more than just seeing something weird happen.
Yeah, I can see that.
He makes this great analogy. Compares the critic to someone trying to judge astronomy just from peeking through a telescope.
Haha, love that. You can't just glance at the stars and declare yourself an expert.
Exactly. Kardec says you need a deeper understanding of the principles, the context. Same with Spiritism. But of course, the critic, being the skeptic, he jumps to the topic of fraud, especially with those seances he's so keen on attending.
Makes sense. That was a big concern back then, and even today, really. People always wondering if mediums are faking it.
Yep, he brings up all the classic tricks, rigged tables, phony spirit voices, the whole bit.
So does Kardec dodge the question?
Not at all. He addresses it straight on. He acknowledges that some people try to pull that stuff, especially if there's money involved. But he makes a distinction. He says true spiritists aren't doing this for personal gain.
So he's saying there are genuine practitioners, people genuinely seeking communication with spirits, not just charlatans looking to make a quick buck.
Exactly. But the critic, he keeps pushing. He even tells this funny story about a surgeon who thought he'd debunked table rapping.
Oh, that's the classic seance phenomenon. What was the surgeon's big theory?
Well, get this. He claimed it was all just people cracking a tendon in their leg. That's what made the rapping sound.
Wait, seriously. I mean, tendons do make a cracking sound, but...
Right. It's a pretty absurd explanation when you think about all the things happening at these seances. Heavy objects moving, raps on the walls, intelligent responses to questions. A tendon can't do all that.
So how does Kardec respond?
Well, he basically dismantles the whole theory with wit and logic. He says the surgeon is applying a simple physical explanation to a much more complex phenomenon, like he's missing the forest for the trees.
Sounds like Kardec was a shop thinker, not letting those oversimplified explanations slide.
Exactly. He's really methodical. He emphasizes the importance of thorough investigation and looking at the bigger picture before jumping to conclusions.
It's making me rethink how I approach things, too.
Me too. But you know what the critic says next? He points to the fact that table-turning seances were becoming less popular.
I see where he's going with this. Like, see, it was just a fad.
Yep. But Kardec offers a different take. He says table-turning was just the beginning, a kind of entry point. As people delved deeper, Spiritism evolved into a much more complex philosophy and doctrine.
I mean, that makes sense. Think about how much technology has changed just in the last few decades. We're way beyond just sending emails.
Right. And Kardec is saying that the true audience for Spiritism isn't those seeking cheap thrills, but serious students, people who want to understand the deeper implications of spirit communication.
Less about spooky entertainment, more about seeking knowledge and meaning. I like that.
Me too. But this leads to a really key question from the critic. He basically asks, okay, if I shouldn't just focus on observing phenomena, how do beginners actually learn about this stuff?
That's a great question. Like, where do I even start? I'm curious how Kardec answers.
Well, he gives a really insightful response. He says simply witnessing things without understanding the principles behind them is like trying to learn a foreign language just by listening to random phrases.
Ah, I get it. You might pick up a few words, but you won't understand the grammar, the structure. You'll miss the real meaning.
Exactly. And Kardec says that to truly understand Spiritism, you need to start with the theory, the doctrine, the underlying principles.
So immerse yourself in the concepts first, then approach personal experience with a prepared mind.
Right. It's like don't jump into the deep end without learning to swim first. Equip yourself with the knowledge and skills, then you can navigate these waters effectively.
I love that. So he's not dismissing the importance of personal experience. He's saying it has to be informed experience.
Exactly. And that's where he makes a distinction between the merely curious and the sincerely curious. He believes those who are genuinely open to learning will find the evidence and understanding they seek.
It's about intention, isn't it? Approaching something new with a genuine desire to understand.
Totally. And that brings us to another interesting point the critic makes. He says, okay, I get the importance of theory, but how can beginners learn if they're not given opportunities to observe? How can they see the principles in action?
Ah, so he's pushing back a bit on the idea of starting purely with theory. He wants that practical element.
Yeah, it's like he's saying, all right, I'll read your books, but can I at least see a seance to get a sense of what you're talking about?
Right, he wants that tangible experience. And Kardec doesn't dismiss that desire. In fact, it leads to one of the most thought-provoking parts of the dialogue.
Ooh, I'm all ears. Lay it on me.
Kardec basically says that observation, while important, can be misleading if it's not guided by understanding.
Okay, I'm following so far.
And he uses this brilliant analogy. He compares attending a seance without prior knowledge to going to a chemistry lab and watching experiments without understanding the principles of chemistry.
Ah, I see. You might be impressed by the reactions, the colors, the explosions,
But you won't truly understand what's happening or why. You're missing the underlying principles.
that's such a powerful image. It really highlights the importance of that theoretical foundation.
Exactly. Kardec is saying that those who come to Spiritism seeking only spectacle, only the superficial thrills of seeing a table turn or hearing a rap, will miss the true essence of the movement.
So it's not about seeking the spooky or sensational. It's about approaching it with a sincere desire for knowledge, a willingness to go deeper.
Precisely. And he clarifies that understanding comes from a combination of study and experience. He encourages the critic to immerse himself in the literature first, then approach observation with a prepared mind.
So don't just take my word for it. Learn about it, then go see for yourself.
Exactly. Let your own reasoned judgment be your guide. It's a pretty compelling argument, isn't it?
It is. He's not demanding blind faith or skepticism, but encouraging a balanced approach.
Right. Open-mindedness and a commitment to truth. And so this first dialogue wraps up.
And where does that leave the critic? Is he convinced?
Well, that's the beauty of it. We're left to ponder that very question. The dialogue ends without a definitive answer. It's like Kardec is inviting us to step into the critic's shoes.
Interesting. So how would W respond to this challenge?
Right. How would we approach the study of Spiritism, given what we've learned from Kardec?
I love that he leaves us with that open question. Makes you really think. And you know what? This whole conversation has really given me a new perspective on Kardec.
Me too. He comes across as much more than just a believer. He's sharp, analytical, not afraid of tough questions.
And what I appreciate is that he's not demanding blind faith. He's encouraging us to think critically, to investigate for ourselves.
Absolutely. And that approach is so relevant today, even outside of Spiritism. We're bombarded with information all the time. It's easy to form opinions without truly understanding a subject.
Oh, for sure. Kardec is reminding us that real understanding takes work. We have to go beyond the surface, grapple with the nuances.
Exactly. And sometimes that means acknowledging that we don't have all the answers, being okay with not knowing everything right away.
That's true. It's about being humble, being willing to learn and grow. and to be open to the possibility that our initial impressions might be wrong.
Right. Approaching new ideas with curiosity rather than judgment. And that brings us back to this idea of a deep dive, immersing ourselves in a topic.
Exploring it from all angles, coming out with more nuanced understanding.
And I think that's exactly what we've done today. We've explored this dialogue, this clash between skepticism and a new movement.
We've seen how Kardec handled those challenges.
And hopefully it's given us all some food for thought, a new way to approach learning and understanding.
And as we wrap up, that challenge from Kardec is still ringing in my ears.
Mine too.
How will we approach the unknown? Will we be skeptical or curious? Closed off or open to new possibilities?
It's a question worth pondering. The choice is ours.
So keep questioning, keep exploring, and as always, keep diving deep.